Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, and in this video we're going to talk about texture. So texture in architectural design means the surface quality or feel of a building or material. So in other words, how it looks and how it would feel if it was touched.
Don't touch!
Texture, when looking at this build, we definitely already have some, and this is the best example. So this wall is not like this wall. And it's pretty obvious to see why. I mean, this wall is composed of two different kinds of or orientations of foundation, right? I mean, if you obviously didn't know, this foundation has one side different than the other side in terms of the pattern that's on the two sides. And so if you don't align those sides, then you get stuff like this. So if I were to just take this foundation and place it down again, you can see how this design matches this design, but not the rest. And so this becomes important, especially when obviously doing stuff like this. If you're trying to make it seem more fluid, more confluent like this, then maybe you go with a design that has less of the lines on it. Or maybe you wanted to add a little bit of inherent texture, you would do this. But let's go back to the definition of texture. Why did I say it's a combination of shape and depth? So when we thought about depth, we said that it was a difference in space of the different elements of a building. So in this wall, there's a difference in the space of this round element and the actual flatness of the wall. So this inherently has a little bit of depth, and same with these pillars here. And I also think that the shape is affected, obviously, by where I put these round concrete pillars. There's these small beams, in that you can see triangles and squares and other polygons and whatnot. It adds both shape and depth to a wall that would otherwise have been flat, adding texture to that wall. Now, this is another example. If we were to just take this foundation and smooth this area out, or a wall of foundations like this. So instead of just having this flat wall, we use these big metal pillars. And because we use these big metal pillars next to each other, there's still this appearance of a wall in that they're in the same spot, and you can go next to it and it's flat and blocks you, obviously. But there is a gap in between them. It's adding to that depth that you see when looking at the wall. Now there's another example of texture in this build that you guys may have seen before, but this wall was obviously just white before, and when I added this black around it, it kind of stuck out too much. You know, like there's all of this white wall, which I think still needs something else in addition to the middle there, but this just kind of stuck out. And again, I didn't want to just have a window behind it because there's nothing behind it and I don't feel like building anything behind it. So we need to make this space have added things for your eye to look at instead of just being a flat white wall. And so I decided to go with texture, and you can do small things like this to add texture to a build. And all I did was take a big frame, I put it on the side here and just nudged it in, and that added that little bit of texture to this wall, where it's not a large outcropping, but it definitely breaks up the solid white walls. Like if you look in this direction here and I go like this, it's all white. All I'm seeing is white. It's hard to see these changes in the building architecture because it's all the same color. And so if you do something like this and use texture, you add that small amount of depth and shape to the build, it lets those features that you created with depth and with shape stand out more. And so you use texture to accentuate different parts of the depth and shape of the build that you created in the previous episode, that I created the previous episodes, and that you will create in your builds. Let's apply this here. Again, we have this large space of white. Now, how do I break this up so that it's not just the same over and over here. I could keep this wall like this, but why don't we use this concept that we did down here over here? So let's look at some of the options that we have, and we can use any of these beams, we can use concrete, we can use pillars, it really doesn't matter, but any of these will allow you to add a small difference to an otherwise flat wall and give it a little extra. So why don't we try just taking a metal beam and bring it up like this. Maybe another one goes here. Then maybe we can add small frame around this. And that's interesting. I like that a lot. Maybe I switch out the metal beam with a painted beam, and I can see what that looks like. And now there's kind of an immediate difference. You can see that this wall that was just kind of blending in with the background here and the foreground there now has an added amount of texture and color difference that makes this stand out so much more than it used to. Anyway, that's going to do it for me, guys. Stay tuned to the next episode where we talk about color and how that can help perfect your builds. So check the link in the description for my other channel called Tiny Live, where I do live streams or my Let's Play series. Feel free to tink both of those subscribe buttons, and I will see you in the next one.